This video on FPL TV is very proudly sponsored by ONEFOOTBALL. With a rating of 4.8 out of 5 from now over 100,000 reviews on the App Store, ONEFOOTBALL truly is the biggest and best app for football news, scores and stats from hundreds of leagues all over the world. As for FPL, you can choose to follow every team in the Premier League on ONEFOOTBALL and then get live updates from all the goals and assists every game week. Download it now completely free using the link in the description box below. Hey guys, and welcome back to FPL TV. After a stressful Boxing Day morning of last-minute decisions, rumours of more fixture postponements, and not to mention the FPL website crashing minutes before the deadline, let's see how my side fared in the big blank Game Week 19, before then looking towards Game Week 20, which is just around the corner. Shortly before releasing my video on Thursday, news came out that Liverpool, Leeds, Watford and Wolves would all blank, with me having 6 key players from those fixtures. This meant I only had 8 players to field, and that included Smith Rowe, Brownhill and Johnson, none of which were guaranteed to start. A day or two later, Burnley's fixture was also then postponed, so Brownhill too was gone for me, and therefore my hand was really being forced into using a free hit, with now just 7 available players in my squad. Good thing we've got 2 to use now. Due to lots of rumours going around about the Tottenham and Chelsea games getting postponed as well, I had to hold off from activating the free hit until the very last moments, but did end up pulling the trigger about 10 minutes before the game week deadline. So let's see how that free hit side performed. In my last video, I did show a rough free hit preview which I had put together very quickly, and the majority of that draft remained the same, with Bowen, Martinelli, Mahrez and Son in midfield. To my delight, 3 of those 4 managed returns on Boxing Day, and Mahrez was the outstanding differential, delivering a double-digit haul against his old club, a pick that I really fancied to do well. His goal came from the penalty spot, and then Man City won another penalty, only for Sterling to step up and take the second one. So if anything, perhaps a bit unlucky not to have scored bigger, but a great return nonetheless. His teammate Cancelo remained in my defence in that emphatic 6-3 win against Leicester, and he picked up an assist, whilst big hitters Kane and Ronaldo also kept their places from that initial free hit draft, with Kane scoring for a second consecutive game. Ronaldo still has to play whilst I'm producing this video, and he has the armband, so fingers crossed for some big returns there against Newcastle. As for the rest of my free hit team, there were some small changes from that initial draft, and unfortunately one of them was dropping Lacazette up front and instead opting for Mason Mount in midfield, a decision that cost me 9 points. The thinking here was that I was a bit reluctant to triple up on Arsenal, just in case their fixture did get postponed, with some rumours doing the rounds about Norwich's COVID situation, and I therefore felt it was a bit safer to diversify to other teams. Dropping Lacazette to Mason Mount also meant I could free up more money to have a stronger bench, which I felt was important during these very unpredictable circumstances, so although it didn't pay off, I still think it was a sound decision. Fortunately though, a few changes that I made to my defence pretty much balanced out the scores from my initial free hit draft anyway, because instead of opting for Aaron Ramsdale, I chose Kieran Tierney from Arsenal's defence in the end, purely to offer more attacking threat, and that paid dividends with a clean sheet and a goal against Norwich, with De Gea then replacing Ramsdale between the sticks. Once having confirmation that the Spurs fixture was then 2 going ahead, Reguilon also made the final free hit team, and his clean sheet and 1 bonus point meant all 3 Tottenham players returned against Palace, a great result for the free hit. So for Game Week 19, the free hit team have currently scored a very pleasing 57. Of course, opting for Lacazette would have made the free hit a lot better, but considering the situation my non-free hit team was in, I can have no real complaints in what is a very respectable score. 57 points so far has taken me from 140k to 95k as things stand, my first time inside the top 100k for a very long time. And with De Gea and Ronaldo still to play tonight, with CR7 championing the captaincy armband, hopefully that can only solidify my place in the top 100k further. As things stand, I feel the use of one of the free hits here has been fairly successful, but of course there are plenty of teams out there who scored near or similar to me without using the chip. So the true success of my free hit will be made more clear depending on how well those managers that save the free hit chip can utilise it for future double game weeks, etc. With that said, every manager has been affected differently by these fixture postponements though, with some being worse off than others, and I felt in my situation, with only 7 players available last week, burning one of the free hit chips this week was warranted, and overall I've got to be happy with how it went. Let's move on to Game Week 20 now and see how the team currently lines up and discuss some potential transfer moves. Also, if you do enjoy the content here at FPL TV, then please consider supporting the channel by getting subscribed. You can also hit the notification bell so you always know when a new video goes live. It really helps support me in making these videos. Now, at the moment, I really have to stress in every video that the FPL game right now, as well as making content about it, is anything but normal. With fixtures constantly getting postponed out of the blue, transfer plans can change in an instant, so it's very hard to be clear on exactly what I'll do with my team until I have all the information available. At the time of making this video, 2 fixtures have been postponed so far, with those being Wolves against Arsenal and Leeds against Aston Villa. For me, that has ruled out 2 players in Rafinha and Smith Rowe, so as things stand, I'm sporting a 5-3-2, with just Brownhill available on my bench. To be fair, if things do stay as they are, then considering how my team looked over the last few game weeks, my squad is actually in fairly good shape for Game Week 20, especially with the now rested Liverpool trio being back for this trip to Leicester, who just shipped 6 goals to Man City. Granted, with some of my squad having games just 2 days apart, of course my team could be hit with a bit of rotation this week, particularly the likes of James, Rudiger and Cancelo, all of whom I'm concerned about. The concern I have is that if I am hit with rotation, then only having Brownhill as backup isn't ideal, because an away fixture to United is a tough one, and there's no guarantees of him starting anyway. His highest return of the season is also just 3 points, with no attacking returns to his name thus far, so more than likely, even a start from him would result in a 1 or 2 pointer. For this reason, I am looking to make 1 free transfer this game week, and with Rafinha and Smith Rowe both blanking, it's likely one of those that will make way to bolster my midfield a bit. By transferring in a replacement for one of these 2, I can then place West Ham's Johnson as first on my bench, giving myself a bit more cover. Because West Ham just played a day ago and Ben Johnson didn't play in that fixture, I expect that he has a good chance to start this one against Watford, so I'm happy to have him back and available in my squad as a cheap budget enabler, having now returned from injury. Good news for my squad depth and a decent bit of backup this week. In terms of replacing either Smith Rowe or Rafinha, right now I'm leaning more towards selling Smith Rowe, because after this blank game week, he then comes back to face Man City immediately and then Tottenham away straight after, 2 very tricky fixtures, and he's also not guaranteed to start either of them. Arsenal also have more upcoming blank game weeks in 25 and 27, so maybe it is best to get rid of him now when considering the longer term. As for replacements, with 7.6 million to spend if I do sell Smith Rowe, well, that's something I'll still be weighing up until the deadline, with plenty of options in my consideration around this price bracket. Jared Bowen and Amari Gray are my top considerations, mainly down to both of them having outstanding fixtures to come. Bowen looks to be the safer and more sensible bet, with generally a good guarantee on minutes, and at least with him we know that he's fit. But for $1 million cheaper, Gray definitely tempts me, because despite Everton being in pretty shocking form, their fixture run in particular looks absolutely incredible for the next few months. Not to mention the Toffees having plenty of games in hand. Another player in my consideration this week is James Maddison, who, looking at the stats amongst midfielders around this price range, is offering excellent goal and assist threat in recent game weeks. But with him, it is a trickier move considering he plays Liverpool this game week. Following this game, Maddison does then face Norwich and Burnley in back-to-back fixtures, which given his outstanding underlying stats is certainly a tempter. However, when looking at his fixtures for the longer term, he does feel like a more short-term pick, and therefore perhaps a transfer out waiting to happen. Another potential replacement in my consideration, and no doubt the biggest differential of the 4, is Lucas Moura, who looks to be a much cheaper route into this revitalised Spurs side. Perhaps a handy option for those that can't afford the likes of Kane or Son Heung-min at the moment. Tottenham have some decent fixtures against Southampton and Watford in the next 2, as well as now having notably 3 games in hand, so potentially some big double game weeks on the way. Granted, Moura's minutes aren't guaranteed, and that's what concerns me, but certainly a differential on my watch list who looked very sharp against Palace last time out. For the captaincy in Game Week 20, for me it'll be a tough 50-50 between Ronaldo and Mo Salah, and of course my decision could be swayed depending on how CR7 performs against Newcastle this evening. A home fixture against Burnley is very tempting for the Portuguese forward, but notably, considering Liverpool have now had a nice rest over Christmas, whereas United would have played just a few days before, that may just solidify my captaincy on the Egyptian king, who is now surely more guaranteed of playing 90 minutes than Ronaldo is. What I also really like about captaining Mo Salah for Game Week 20 is that lots of active managers that didn't use the free hit last week more than likely sold Mo Salah during the blank, and now head into Game Week 20 without the world-class forward. That means that for one of the first times this season, Salah will be a bit more of a differential than we've seen for the past 15 game weeks or so. Don't get me wrong, he's not a differential in the true meaning of the word, but simply he'll be captained and owned by a lot less active managers than in previous game weeks, and that to me seems like quite a luxury, especially when he faces a tiring Leicester up next who have an array of defensive injuries and are absolutely shipping goals at the moment. So that's all my current thoughts heading into the midweek Game Week 20. Like I said, there's a chance that more information about postponements gets released before the game week starts and after I've made this video, and therefore completely nullify everything I've spoken about. Hopefully not, of course, but I look forward to a time when FPL and football returns back to normality. In this current climate, I'll no doubt wait until the very last moments of the game week to lock in my transfers, to absorb as much information as possible first. But as per usual, I'll post my final team over on Twitter shortly before the deadline hits. Good luck to you all for the upcoming Game Week 20, FPL responsibly, and I'll catch you all very soon.